I'd like to start off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ruach Double honors to the elders and the apostles who are in Millstone, rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to those that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Nathaniel from the GMS Camp Atlanta, coming back at you through the Spirit with another lesson. I pray and hope this lesson is edifying. Now we're going into you're seeing white people that are now complaining about the treatment that they're getting from the federal government, and how, you have a specific group of people that's getting preferential treatment, like the small hatters. They're getting preferential treatment, which one proves that they are not the people of the book, because, the book of Deuteronomy and the curses, it says that he will be the head and you should be the tail. And they control everything, in which we're going to go into a video that's going to break all that down. Okay. But at the same time, the Lord is what he's doing is not only, well, let's just read this real quick. This is Isaiah 25 and 7. And it says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. All right. So this is including Esau, Edom's own people. Okay, so even his own people are going to see the works of those people that are in rulership, which is the tribe of Amalek, that control everything, which are the small hatters. Okay, so as you're as America is dying and falling, as much as they're going to try to blame Jake, ultimately at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to blame Jake, because Jake literally has no power. We're not the ones controlling the courts, and more information is coming out of those who actually do control everything. All right. So that veil is actually being removed. And it's not just here in America, it's abroad, because the actual world is seeing, I read a post the other day. A brother had posted in chat, and it was talking about how it was a meme, and it was just a meme of Elmo saying that, hey, a certain group of people need to be eradicated. All right. And you can fill in the blank. But the world, and that was just posted from somebody, and they tagged Donald Trump. they tagged Donald Trump, So the world is waking up, and the world is turning against those people that are in rulership, because they want to hoard everything and mistreat the people. Okay. They started with the Israelites, and now the rest of the world is experiencing in real time what, and it's still not to the same degree that the Israelites have experienced this, but yet the world is experiencing it, and it's making them uncomfortable, and they're trying to point the finger. All right. So let's start off with this video. It's a long video, but we're not going to play it all. We're just going to play a couple clips, and then we're going to play this other video, and Lord willing, you brothers and sisters be edified.
To be a white American. Now hold on, give me a chance, let me explain. I want you to think of the kind of person who would put on a White Lives Matter sticker on the back of their Ford pickup. Why do they do that? Is it all racism? Well, yeah, but I think it goes a lot deeper than that. White Americans basically have no culture, not in the same way we see other people. And we white people, we know this inherently, and it scares us. We know we have our regional cultures, our cities, our sports teams and families all give us our regional culture, but being white basically means nothing, or generally at least nothing positive. White people throughout American history are almost always seen on the side of the oppressors. Not all white people, but most of us. And this sucks to learn. It's even harder to internalize.
And that's the cognitive dissonance that's being broken in this society, and white people are starting to realize this, because it's not, Jake ain't the one that's saying this shit no more. Okay, you got other nationalities or other races of people that are saying this shit openly now. You even got Esau saying this shit openly, and he's one of them. So you hear him speaking out against the oppression that him and his forefathers have and his policies, Esau's policies have laid down. All right. So that's what you're witnessing. Okay. And it's a bunch of them on this video talking about this.
And it's why white people usually don't accept this, because it makes us feel a deep sense of guilt. I think it's why white people say no.
And it's also fear, you know, you know, hold up. Precept just came to mind. Um, all right. So, let's go to the book of, Zechariah 11:5. And it says, this is, Zechariah 11:5. And it says, who possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty and say, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. And see, this is part of the cognitive dissonance, the scripture right here, that these so-called white people have been so broadly proclaiming through their actions. You know, just ignoring the innate oppression that's being caused everywhere they go. Okay, and then they think that they're blessed because they're doing evil and violence to other people. You know, they're in a world that will otherwise be peaceful. You see that, and that's the thing. The world will otherwise, you know, because when you go into the book of Maccabees, when Alexander the Greek took over and said evil multiplied in the earth. So the act of violence and vandalism and rape and rob and murder, the vibration of the whole entire earth turned into something very evil. Okay, under the rule of Esau Edom. All right. So since he's been in power, there's been, you know, there's been a war, murderous and violent spirit that's been on the earth. Okay, because that's how he solves his problems. You know, because when you go into what is it, Deuteronomy or Genesis, the 27th chapter, his blessing was the sword. Okay, that was his blessing. All right, so let's listen to a little bit more.
Nonsense. Like, I can't be racist. I have black friends. Sure, you probably don't see black people as objects, but you're refusing to accept the role our people have had in their oppression.
And see, and that's the cognitive dissonance that most so-called white people are completely blind to. You know, they don't realize, hey, your role in this oppressive system that has been systematically set up to oppress certain demographics of people. Okay.
That guilt we feel is our responsibility for the actions of our ancestors. It's why white people refuse to say that black people deserve reparation, because it admits our guilt. But black people deserve reparations. It just makes sense logically.
No, you deserve slavery. Okay. Okay. You deserve, let's get this real quick. I ain't brought this out in a while. This is Revelation 13:10. I'll start at verse 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And that's what the saints are waiting for, because that's true retribution. That's true justice. That's true eye for an eye. It's to do back to those what they have done unto you. Okay. You know, if you kind, you get kindness back. If you're evil, hey, you get evil back. That's divine retribution. Why should you in your kind? Because you have generations of Jake that was peacefully protesting and realize and laying they claim to things for centuries, and you murdered them. Okay. You ethnically cleanse entire groups of people, right? For peacefully proclaiming what was rightfully theirs. But now your children are going to say, okay, yeah, we realized that our grandparents was wrong and that's it. Okay, y'all good? No, man. You got to get what the scriptures say you owed.
You can sue someone for scratching your car, but black people can't sue the American government for the enslavement of their people. My people are arresting and deporting Mexican families from this country. Think about that. We are telling people that they are not allowed on the land we stole. Let's go a step further. White people stole a sacred land site from the people indigenous to this land and then carved 4 white people's faces on it, most of which were slave owners. I mean, Mount Rushmore is a place that we look at and we're like, oh, cool, giant faces. But to other people, it's a giant form of oppression. And admitting that and coming to terms with that suck. We suck, dude. My people really and truly suck. Not all of us contributed to this oppression, but we are
But
all a
but see the part that see not all of you may have directly contributed, but all of you have benefited from it.
part of it. And this will mostly sound like virtue signaling. It will mostly sound like, look at how rough we are. But there is a reality to admitting this guilt and being honest with it. Because white people are afraid to do this. And we're afraid to admit it because my people are weak. White people are weak. We have power we have given ourselves and put down the cultures that are.
See, and that right there, okay, so that man, that's heavy right there. Okay. Um that's heavy. Let's go to I gotta bring that out now. Let's go to Genesis 27 now. Because that what he said, you know, how white people are weak. This is why they turn to violence. Okay. Because it takes a huge level of strength to be able to accept something, right, that you're not familiar with, but it's not violating anything. Okay. Because you have a lot of Israelites that have customs and ways that they do things that doesn't that's still an Israelite custom. Okay. You look at it, you can say, oh, those are Jakes. They just got a little bit different flair to it. You know what I'm saying? But Esau don't want to accept nothing that he doesn't want that he thinks is off. So, you know, and then if you don't agree with what he's saying, he'll just put you to death. You see? If you don't want to give up your land, he'll just put you to death. If you don't want to comply with his unlawful commands, he'll put you to death. You see, this is the modus apparatus or mo of Esau Edom. All right. So this is Genesis 27:40, and he says, "And by the sword thou shalt live, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off his neck." Okay, so there it is. All right. So Esau is a violent man based off of weakness. Okay, because your only redeeming quality, which I don't know if can be considered redeeming, is bloodshed and murder. All right. Excuse me. It's only bloodshed and murder. And so you hear that, and he's not the only Edomite that say stuff
Stronger
like
than
that.
us because we know that if white Americans were oppressed the same way black, native, or Mexican American people are, we would crack like glass.
All right, so there's another precept that had just come to mind in Genesis 25. This is Genesis 25 and 23. It says, "And the Lord said unto her, Well, let's just start at 22. And the children. This is Jacob and Esau inside her womb. And it says the children struggled together within her and said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of Yahweh, and Yahweh said unto her, "Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger." So, strength. When the Lord said that one was going to be stronger, He meant in every way, physically, mentally, spiritually. They're going to be stronger in every way. Okay, they're going to be genetically superior, right? So this is one of the reasons why Jake can take so much without cracking, and what he just said lines up with
Culture
that.
and identity as white people is so meaningless that we do everything in our power to keep other people down so that we don't break from having someone else on top. I think that's why you see white Americans championing white pride, not just out of ignorance or racism, but it's because they are scared. They're scared to come to terms with their guilt, scared to admit they're wrong, and terrified to acknowledge that we may have all the societal, economic, and political power, but as a people, we are weak. But this isn't the way it has to be forever. I have hope that one day my people will finally take responsibility for what we have done. I hope that we'll collectively accept our role in the oppression of our non-white brothers and sisters and finally take action. And it will take the action of us white folks. It's not just non-white people that have to fight for their rights. It's us too fighting for them, because our cross to bear is being born white. Being born with the skin color of the oppressors means that we have to fight to be nothing like them. We're not near that.
I mean, no, man, no. You not. Hey, the scriptures say that the cup shall pass unto thee. Oh, be glad, O daughter of Uz, man. Daughter, he that dwell in the land of Uz, a virgin daughter of Babylon. I'm roughly paraphrasing. The cup shall pass unto thee. So you're gonna get your get back. Okay, this is Ezekiel 35 and 5. It says, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel, by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end." You see, so you and your people continued all the time, all of this time that you've had power, that you've had wealth, that you had influence, and you had the power to change something. You didn't do shit about it because you had this perpetual hatred toward the Israelites, the so-called black, Native American, and Mexican, Latino man. You Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. You've had this perpetual hatred against and now that America's crashing, now you want to. Now I realize I was so wrong. Well, that's not how it works, man. Okay. You have to get your get back. All right. Now we're gonna move on to this next video, because this video right here, these people that she's talking about are the ones that are causing this person to realize, because they're like, what the hell is going on? Because they don't have the money and the power and the health and the wealth and all of these things they're not in the same position as they once were. Okay, so now they're looking around like, what the hell is going on? And they look at it, and now they're figuring out, wait. The scriptures say, you know what? Let's get that real quick. Let's go back. Let's go to the book of Job. This is Job 20 and 5. Because this is what y'all people are. It says, we're going to start at verse 4. It says, knowing thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellently mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish like his own dung, which they which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and he shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as the vision of the night. And that's going to be you, Esau. You know, you can cry all you want to, but I mean, you are not just you didn't stop with hurting the Israelites or the other nations, the apple of the Lord's eye, and even the nations that the Lord calls spittle. You've actually hurt the earth itself with your pollution and your raping and pillaging of the resources and using them in such an irresponsible manner. Okay. It says, he shall fly away as a dream. He shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a night, as a vision of the night. They also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place any more behold him. Okay, so you're not going to have any remembrance, and this is what they're doing right now. In verse 10, it says, "His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods." And see, this is you trying to please the Israelites right now and then you see who's on the other side of this, right? A Jake woman, right? She's in the audience. So the people that and it's not everyone, because it's not a color thing. It's just that color is just an indicator. But you're gonna have more or less more people like Jake that's going to be aligning with what he's fucking saying. Okay. Now, of course, you're going to have Latinos and Native Americans that's going to be in that category as well. But hey,
more than 30 states in America have laws that punish businesses for boycotting Israel. But there are 0 laws that punish companies for boycotting the United States itself. That's right. In states like Texas, Florida, New York, and Arizona, if a company refuses to do business with Israel or supports the BDS movement, it can be banned from getting state contract. Some states even require a written pledge that you are not boycotting Israel in order to work with the government. But here's the contradiction. You can boycott the U.S. military. You can refuse to sell products in red states or blue states. You can even openly campaign against.
All right, so you heard some of that. So let's go here to, because these people are the ones that are creating the policies that's causing the people on his low level to start lashing out. Okay, so this is Deuteronomy 28 and 44. And it says, he shall, let's start at 43. It says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So Jake is not the head of nothing. So what she's talking about, these small hatters, okay, they're the actual head. Okay, the tribe of Amalek, the top banking families, they're the ones that control everything. All right, and as she's talking about, this is the Jewish lobby, right? That lobby in government to have to take over, basically. All right, so that's what she's talking about.
Against American industries and still get government contracts. So I have to ask, why is it illegal to boycott a foreign country, but not our own? Supporters say these laws are about standing with our allies and opposing anti-Semitism. But critics argue they're unconstitutional and that no one should be forced to give up their rights to protest in order to do business with the state of America. The bigger issue, these laws raise serious questions about free speech, foreign influence, and whether we're protecting American values or compromising them.
All right, so one more scripture to close up, because, you know, just to tie it all together. This is Isaiah 2 and 4. Okay, well, let's start at verse 2 because this is talking about when the real Israelites go back to their land. This is how, and Esau is chased out of the earth. This is what's going to happen, and this is not happening now. And it says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, the Lord's house, this is happening, this part is happening, the Lord's house shall be established in the tops of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And this is starting to happen now with the elect going out and preaching the gospel, okay, on the highways and the byways. That's actually the establishment of the governing body of the nation of Israel, okay? And it says that, and many people shall go and say, let us, and this is in the kingdom, and many people shall say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. Ain't nobody going up to them Jew rats wanting to learn their ways. They talking about we hate these people. The world is saying we hate them. Okay, the world. It's not just one particular group. It's just the whole world. Okay. So this is not happening. You don't have nations flowing up to Israel because in this particular setting, it can be implied. Well, it is implied that Israel creates peace and prosperity for the whole entire world. Okay. Now, the rest of the world ain't going to be living as good as Israel, but the rest of the world is going to be living far better than they are right now. The average farmer is probably going to be way wealthier than the average middle class was back in the 80s in America's prime. You know, you gonna date everybody gonna have a bunch. Of course, you're gonna have levels of class and things of that nature. You're gonna have some people that's gonna be, lower than others. Okay, but for the most part, when everybody's done serving their sentence, they're gonna be able to go back to their lands, and they're gonna want to learn the ways of the God of Jacob. That's what the scriptures say. And those that don't want to, the Lord gonna withhold the rain from them. But it ain't gonna be no war. No more killing. And it says, and he shall teach us his ways, and we shall walk in his paths. That's not happening. The rest of the nations is not trying to walk in the paths of Judaism. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Okay, that's not happening. And it says, and he shall judge among many nations, and shall rebuke many people, and shall beat they shall beat their plowshares, and they shall beat their swords in the plowshares, and their spears in the pruning hooks. And nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's not happening. There's plenty of war out here. Plenty. World War III is on the cusp of happening. So this ain't happening. Okay? So who's in control? They are. They're saying that they're the people. They're the head. Everybody, the Israelites are the tail. Okay? You got the neck, the shoulders, the other four legs, the body. You got all that in between the entire animal. Okay? And out of all that, we're at the bottom of the bottom, the tail. Okay? And what comes out from in between the tail? The shit. All right, so we're in the worst position. We don't get none of the meat that comes in, right? We get grazed by turds. That's what the tail is. Okay, you got to think about that. When the Lord gave that description, bro, you're gonna be at the bottom. You're gonna be like shit. The best parts of everything they gonna get. The head gonna get. You're gonna be on the bottom. All right. So you don't have nations trying to learn their ways right now. They're running from their ways. All right. And then you got people doing videos like this. And what they try to do in return, censor. They want to censor. They don't want all this information going out. In the kingdom, we're not going to have to do none of that. It says it right here. It says, and many people shall say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and walk in the house of the God of Jacob. Because the ways of the house of the Lord are going to be prosperous for their lands. Their lands are going to be everywhere you go on the earth except America is going to be like a paradise. And Israel is going to be like a super duper duper unimaginable paradise. But the world is still going to be like a Eden. It's going to be beautiful. Okay? A world that we can't even imagine on this side. And the other nations are going to have their lands and having access to that beauty too. Okay? And they're going to well understand who the God of Israel is in that time. And that's not happening now. Okay? So with that, I pray this will edify a lesson when they ended off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar Kadesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, and Shalom.